Then and Now is a series of videos where we take down a game from our shelves that we haven't played in some time and take it for a spin. Today's contender is Dominion. So first, let me tell you a little bit about Dominion. It's a deck building drafting game where the aim of the game is to get as many points as possible by acquiring cards for your deck by using cards in your deck. Now, that doesn't seem like the most original idea today, but when Dominion was released in 2008, it was pretty revolutionary. In particular, it seemed to appeal to those who had played CCGs or games like Magic the Gathering before, because these people were familiar with these mechanics of drafting and deck building. It certainly was popular in our circles in that kind of way. The other interesting thing to note about Dominion is that it didn't take very long to set up, and it doesn't take very long to play. And this was kind of new on the board game scene, at least for folks like ourselves. Dominion, of course, is the kind of game where you build an engine. So even if you don't win, the game can still be really satisfying to play. And it was the kind of game that we would play 4 games of in a row in an evening because it was so quick to do so. There was a huge hype around Dominion when it was first released, and this is reflected in the number of expansions the game obtained. So while Dominion certainly had a big impact on our gaming lives when it was first released, recently we decided to take it down from the shelves for the first time in a long time and see how Dominion felt after the passing of time. Now the first setup we did was just the base set with the Seaside expansion, and it was horribly unsatisfactory. I pretty immediately remembered that Seaside was the kind of set that you probably shouldn't have played on its own. It has lots of mean cards, things that want to touch your stuff or take your things. And so it kind of left us with a bad taste in our mouth. But I didn't feel that that was particularly fair to Dominion, because it was literally, you know, it was one set, it was one of the earlier sets. And I suggested that maybe we played something that we used to love when we'd originally played Dominion, which was combining the sets of Prosperity and Alchemy. And this felt tons better. There seemed to be far more choices on the board, there was more things to do, and we got to build the type of decks that we used to love building. Now the problem with this, of course, is that I can't determine if Dominion, you know, if that setup was better because it was a later expansion, so, you know, maybe the game had moved on, or if this was just sheer nostalgia on my part because I got to play with things I used to like playing with. I'm sure you all have your own games in your collection at home that aren't necessarily the best games in the world, but they evoke a particular type of feeling, and you like to pull them out once in a while just for that alone. While Dominion may not be the most exciting game in our collection currently, it's definitely the one that has the greatest legacy. It's influenced a variety of games based on its unique mechanics, such as Ascension, the Star Trek deck building game, the DC deck building games, and the whole slew of those that came along with it. You could even think of games like Star Realms perhaps, or Millennium Blades, all of which owe their humble beginnings to Dominion, because without Dominion, these type of games would never have reached us. So what might have seemed interesting and exciting and definitely new in 2008, deck building and drafting, nowadays seems to be more of a sidelined aspect of a game, where a portion of a game will be made of this, but not the entire game as a whole, showing how it's moved on over time. So while Dominion isn't the game we pull out to the table every week, it's not going anywhere out of our collection anytime soon. And I don't know if that's just because we have a soft spot for the game, which is incredibly plausible, and I'm probably quite biased about this. Mostly because it was the game that took us from being card gamers to board gamers and opened up a whole new world for us. I'd like to think that it did that for other players too, but I think everybody has one of those games that evokes a particular feeling without being a particularly exceptional game. And for that reason alone, I think it's worthy to keep in our collection and to have around, and to remind us sometimes of how far we've come when it comes to gaming. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video as we have a little rumination over older games in our collection. Is there any games in your collection that you just can't bear to get rid of, or that, you know, evoke a particular kind of emotion within you? Please let us know in the comments. As always, I'll be here asking questions, trying to figure stuff out, and playing games. Take care.